Oh, we got a lot to cover in this video. We're going to talk about what RBI is, what are the prerequisites for RBI. We're going to talk about how to configure it from the Secure Access, Cisco Secure Access dashboard. And when I talk about prerequisites, right, one of the prerequisites for RBI is that we allow third-party cookies. So I'm going to also show you how to make sure that you don't have to allow all the third-party cookies, but you just need to enable one URL in your browser. So I'm going to show you how to configure that in your Chrome browser, in your Mozilla Firefox, and in the Microsoft Edge. All of that will be covered in today's video. So yeah, grab a cup of coffee if you want to. Let's jump right into it. Okay, so RBI stands for Remote Browser Isolation. It protects identities from potential malware and other threats by redirecting browsing to a cloud-based host. So in a nutshell, so let's say there are specific destinations that you want your end users to access, but you want to isolate those destinations. Let's say as an example, so I'm going to explain this RBI concept to you using this diagram. This diagram is available from the user guide. I've taken it from there. So I'm going to put a link in the description for this diagram so you can access other pieces of information as well from the user guide. So let me just explain to you RBI using this diagram. Let me just clear the screen first. All right, so let's say the administrator has enabled isolation for learning websites, which includes udemy.com. So let's talk about udemy.com in this case. So the client tries to access udemy.com, and the client could use any of its devices. It could be a laptop, it could be a mobile phone, it could be a tablet. So udemy.com is what the client tries to access, and as it is isolated, it's going to be loaded in the cloud. So if udemy.com has any active content, it could be an image, it could be a macro-enabled document, or a script. All of that would be executed on the cloud and not on the end client's browser. And the browser always used on the cloud is going to be Google Chrome. It does not matter if the end client used Mozilla Firefox or used Microsoft Edge or Google Chrome for that matter while trying to access udemy.com. It's always going to be Google Chrome on the cloud. And once everything is executed and done, the sanitized version of the website would be sent to the end client. It's completely safe for the end client. And also for the end client, the end result looks the same, so it does not matter. So if there's any threat, any malware, any problem, all of that will be taken care on the cloud and your end client remains safe. So the real content is actually received on the cloud and not on the browser. However, the experience is going to remain the same. For the end user, it looks exactly the same.
Now, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, I'd highly appreciate if you go ahead and kindly consider doing that. Thank you.
Well, let's talk about a couple of prerequisites. So decryption must be enabled in the web profile that is selected in the rule. I'm going to show this to you from the UI. Now, obviously, decryption must be enabled. Therefore, for a destination that you're trying to access, don't put that destination in the do not decrypt list. I'm going to show you this do not decrypt list as well. That's there in the web profile. And the destinations required or intended for isolation should not be included in your bypass list. I'm going to show this list to you as well from the UI. Those destinations should not be mentioned in the bypass list. Now, there are a couple of browser prerequisites as well. Access to third-party cookies enabled. Well, I'm going to show you how to get it done using just one URL, and you don't have to go ahead and enable all third-party cookies. Minimum supported browser versions mentioned right here. Again, as I said, no matter which browser you use to access the isolated destination, it's always going to be Google Chrome on the cloud. All right. And the last one, the Cisco Secure Access Root Certificate or Customer CSI certificate must be installed. I'm going to show you how to do it using the Cisco Secure Access Root Certificate, how to install it in a very easy way in your in the end user's PC. Again, I'm going to put a link in the description for the user guide. I'd highly recommend go ahead and check it out. There's a ton of stuff mentioned in there apart from this, the content that you can isolate, the limitations, and all of that. So, yeah, please go ahead and check it out. Link in the description. So let's move on and check out the UI now. All right, to begin with, this is the overview page. I'm going to go to the left side under secure. We're going to check out the option. The first option we're going to check out is web profiles. Apart from this, we're going to check out certificates. We're going to check out access policy. So the first thing to do, click on web profiles. Okay, under web profiles, you'll find that I already have one profile configured, which is RBI underscore web profile. And this is the one I'm using to test RBI. I'm going to show this to you. And as you can see, decryption is enabled, and I have not literally touched any of the other options, right? This is the system provided web profile, which I'm not going to use in this case anyway. So before going ahead and showing you the RBI underscore web profile, which is literally nothing but that, I have enabled, applied it to one rule, and I've enabled decryption in it. I'm going to go ahead and click on add that you see right here, right? I clicked on add, and now, as you can see, it shows me web profile one. So I can name it whatever I want. So as per, whatever you want to name it. So I just named it test just to, show it to you. I can go ahead and click on save right here. Oh, completely my choice. And now right here, as you can see, I got save, I got cancel, I can do any of that. Now here you see decryption is disabled, right? Decryption, you see disabled. Now I can go ahead and enable it using this button right here for edit. The rest of the things I really don't need to touch. This is something, it depends on your requirement. You can go ahead and enable SAML authentication. You can go ahead and make sure that the scanning and blocking is done, and you can do all of that based on your requirement, and you can click on any of those buttons and get it done from there. And at the bottom right here, you see end user notification right here. Now in this, you got a couple options. You have the system provided notification pages, or you can go ahead and create your own custom notification page, and that is the one you can call for notification pages. Now, what are these notification pages? It says it right here. Block and warn pages will be displayed in the end user's web browser based on the applicable policy action. So if it's going to be blocked, then the system provided notification page will be shown in this case. And if it will be, if there's a warning or anything, in that case as well, system provided notification pages will be shown. You can go ahead and use your own custom notification pages. And for that, you need to click on edit and then add that right there, right? Whatever you've configured. So these are the options that are available under a web profile. So I'm not really interested in creating a new one. So I'm just going to click on delete, and it's done. Now, the profile I'm interested in is RBI underscore web profile. As you can see, this is the profile name, and I have enabled decryption in it. So if I click on this edit button, you'll see I got multiple options. So let me just click on this edit button for decryption. Enable decryption, and it says right here encrypted traffic is intercepted, decrypted to allow inspection, blah blah blah. And it also mentions that a root certificate is required in any situation which system must proxy and decrypt traffic intended for a website. Now you can go ahead and click on this, or you can directly go to the option that I showed you before, that of certificates under secure, right? So I'm going to show that to you anyways. So let me just click on cancel, and the rest of the options, again, depending on the requirement, you can scan, block, whatever you want to do, and end user notifications, and so on. All right, I'm going to click on close, or basically click on this arrow, and that's it. So we're good with this one. Now let's go ahead and check out the certificates. I'm going to click on certificates, and internet destination, that is the one we're interested in this case, and we're going to land on that same one, right? Cisco Secure Access Root Certificate for decryption and notification pages. So let me just go ahead and expand it. Now here you see a couple things. You see you can download the certificate from here, download the certificate and install it in the trust stores. I'm going to show that to you, of all end user devices. You can use GPO, whatever. If you have a ton of end user devices, you can do it using that. I'm going to show you how to do it in one device, obviously. So And again, why is it used? It's used for the reason is given right here, displaying block and warning notifications to end users, decrypting internet bound traffic. Now, apart from this, you don't, as I mentioned before, either you got an option to go for a Cisco secure access root certificate or add a custom C-assigned certificate for decryption only. Now, I've already downloaded it. For those of you who are following along, go ahead and click on download certificate and download the certificate. Now we're going to move on to the other option. Now we're done with this and this. I'm going to go to access policy. Oh, mm, let me just show you the bypass list before we go ahead and discuss access policy. All right, go to connect on the left-hand side, select the third option, end user connectivity, click on that, and then click on internet security. This is the option I was talking about when I talked about the bypass list. Make sure the destination that you're trying to isolate is not added here under internet security bypass, right? And you can do that using this add destination, but don't do that, right? Make sure you don't have any of those destinations mentioned here, right? So that's pretty much it. Let's go back to access policy and let's talk about the RBI underscore TNV, which is the fourth access policy. All right, so a few things here before we begin. Make sure that you check out these things first. So you see the status for the first three, it says disabled. So basically this number four access rule or access policy, RBI underscore TNV, is actually the first one in this case because the first three are actually disabled, right? So it's going to go for directly the fourth one. So yeah, just so you know, right? So with RBI TNV, when we talk about RBI, right, we talk about the internet access. When you add a rule, you got a couple options. As I've already discussed it before in the previous videos, highly recommend checking those out as well. When you click on add rule, you got a couple options. You got internet and private access. So when we talk about RBI, it's the internet access, right? And then the action for RBI is isolate, remote browser isolation, right? The other actions are allow, block, warn, and then yeah, then you got isolate as well. In this case, I'm going for source any. I don't want to complicate things, but anyways, it's not it's not really going to complicate anything. But yeah, for the sake of simplicity, I went for any. And then you got destinations. I can add a ton of destinations. In this case, I got 6 in there, right? Games and then 5 more. And then it says it's enabled. So let me just go ahead and click on +5. It's going to show me a lot of details here, basically about RBI underscore TNV, the destinations, if I expand that, content categories. I got games, fashion, web hosting, education, cryptocurrencies, and social networking. I'm going to show you examples from a couple of these categories. And let me click on edit that you see right here at the bottom, right? Just click on edit to go ahead and show the other options, right? All right, let's go ahead and take a look at all these options now. On the left-hand side, at the very beginning, we've got this option to disable the rule. So we see rule is enabled, that is good. Then we got logging is enabled. If you want to disable it, that's where you disable it from. It gives you a summary right here. We're gonna anyways talk about the whole thing. So then you got the rule name, which is arbitrary. You can keep it whatever you want, obviously. In this case, the rule order is 4, as we saw before. And you saw that in my case, I've disabled 1, 2, and 3. Therefore, rule number 4, which is RBI underscore TNV, which is this rule, this will be treated as the first rule, right? And then you got the specify access section where the first thing we talk about is action. We got allow, we got block, we got warn, but we have selected in this case isolate. And another thing, when you go ahead and create an access policy and then you go ahead and edit it, you won't be able to change it from one action to another. So I got isolate. I've selected isolate already, and therefore you see these options are grayed out: allow, block, and warn. These are grayed out. So let's scroll down a little bit. Now, all right, we've got a few options to look at here. We got from any, we've talked about it before, and then we got to. In this case, we got a couple of options. We got either destinations or we can go for threat categories. You cannot select both. In my case, I've selected destinations. And as you can see, it shows me you got cryptocurrency and 5 more. If I go ahead and directly click on plus 5 more, it shows me all the content categories that I've selected, right? I'll go ahead and click on cancel now. Now, if you want to go ahead and check out the other options, you can click somewhere here and it'll help you expand this section. If I go ahead and click on it, it shows me select destinations and then destination lists 0 items because I don't have any destination lists. And from the applications available, you can select whichever application you want. You can select the whole thing like this, for example, 142F142 selected, or you can expand it and then go for any specific option that you want to go for, right? Now, the final option is content categories. I can expand that. And from here, I have selected the options that you see, right? Cryptocurrency, education. I can go ahead and select other options as well. It's completely my choice. So again, you can go ahead and configure the options as per your requirement. So I'll go ahead and click on next to check out the other section of configuration, which is configure security. So I'll go ahead and click on next now. All right, now here, now IPS, that is the very first option. As you can see, it is disabled. And the second option is web profile. So I showed you where I configured RBI underscore web profile. You see decryption is enabled. And you basically go ahead and expand this area to go ahead and select the appropriate web profile that you want to select. So I expand it and there you go. It shows me the decryption, the RBI web profile. You want to go for default because that's the only one. The other one that's available is just default web profile. So if I had created other web profiles, I would see them right here, right? And then go ahead and change, make changes to the other configurations as per your requirement. And that's pretty much it. Tenant control profile, it's not applicable. And then advanced, you got something related to files and encryption related to that, I believe. Yes, again, this is not relevant to this example, and therefore I'm not going to go ahead and make changes to that. And that's why I kept it as it is. You want to make changes to anything as per your requirements, yes, please go ahead and do that. And then go ahead and click on save, right? I'm going to go ahead and click on cancel because, I've already configured it correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and click on cancel now. And voila, we're back here. Now it's time to jump onto the client and test out the stuff there. I'm going to show you the cookie settings and the site data settings. So some interesting stuff to check out now. So let's go ahead. All right, two things to do now. One, importing the Cisco Secure Access certificate, and the second thing, configuring third-party cookies, right? So first thing to do, I'm going to go ahead and launch Google Chrome. On the top right corner, you see these 3 vertical dots. Click on that. The second last option that you see is settings. Go ahead and click on settings. On the left-hand side, you need to click on privacy and security. Once you click on that, this is the page you land on. Scroll down. The second last option you see is security. Go ahead and click on security. Now you scroll down again and you find this option of manage certificates. Go ahead and click on manage certificates. Now you see this pop-up window. I'm going to go ahead and drag it to the center. Now here you see this button. There's a button which says import dot dot dot. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on this import dot 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 button. It says welcome to the certificate import wizard and so on. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on next. I'm going to browse the certificate. Okay, so this is the certificate, Cisco Secure Access Root CA. Either I can double click on it or I can go ahead and click on open. I'm going to go ahead and click on open now. Now you see the certificate is here. I'm going to go ahead and click on next. And then this is extremely important. Now this is where you need to go ahead and mention which certificate store you want to store the certificate in. I'm going to go ahead and click on Browse. And the second option I see is Trusted Root Certification Authorities. I'm going to click on that and say OK. All right, I'm done with that. I'm going to go ahead and click on Next now. and then I'm going to go ahead and click on finish. The certificate will be important. In my case, I've already imported the certificate. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on cancel. All right. In your case, you're going to go ahead and click on finish. That's it. We're done with the import of the certificate. There are multiple ways in which you can do it. I showed you one of the easiest ways possibly. And now we're going to go ahead and see how to configure the cookie and site settings in three browsers. Okay, let's start by configuring the cookie settings, the third-party cookie settings in Google Chrome. Go to the top right corner, click on those three vertical dots, and the second last option that you see is settings. Go ahead and click on it. Once you click on that, go to the left-hand side and click on the third option, which is privacy and security. Once you click on it, now before I go ahead and show you that URL, let me tell you that the requirement was to allow all third-party cookies for RBI to work. If I click on this third option, which is third-party cookies, you'll find that the cookies are actually already allowed, right? All third-party cookies. Now, if I try to go ahead and access Udemy now, I will be able to access udemy.com, and this it will be isolated as well. Why is that? Because I have already allowed third-party cookies. And how do I know if it's isolated? Because I see this particular icon, this Cisco icon at the bottom right corner of the screen, right? Now, let me close it off again. Let me close off this tab of udemy.com, and let me show you what happens if I block third-party cookies, because usually that's what you want. You don't want to allow all the third-party cookies. All right, we're okay with that. Let's block all the third-party cookies. But in that case, would you be able to access the isolated resource? Let's check it out. I try to access udemy.com now. Oh, I'm not able to access it. And it tells me that, hey, these could be the problems. Number one, number two, and number three, browser configured to block third-party cookies, Internet Explorer zone settings, problems, and so on. And usually I've seen that it's because of the blocking of third-party cookies. Now, I've blocked third-party cookies. Now, obviously, it won't allow me. But how do I fix it now? I'll use that one URL. I'll click again on privacy and security on the left-hand side, and then click on the last option, that is site settings. Go ahead and click on it. Scroll to the bottom again and click on additional content settings. Again, scroll to the bottom and the last option again, which is on device site data. Go ahead and click on it. Now, the section of configuration that we're interested in is this one right here, right? You go ahead and click on this add button for allowed to save data on your device. You click on this add button and add that URL right here. So let me go ahead and try to do that right away. All right, so let me go ahead and click on add. Now here, I'm gonna mention that URL. So it's gonna be star.rbi-umbrella.com and click on add. As you can see now that this URL has been added to this section of allowed to save data on your device. That's pretty much it. Now I'm going to go ahead and open a new tab and try to access udemy.com. The last time we were not able to access it. However, this time, let's see, we should be able to access it this time. And udemy.com, we wanted to isolate it, and it is isolated, right? Now, just by adding that one URL. Now, if I show you the configuration of third-party cookies, the third-party cookies should still be blocked. And it is right here. So perfect. So we just allowed that one URL and we're able to access our isolated resources without going ahead and allowing all the third-party cookies. And this is how you configure and test it out in Google Chrome. Now I'm going to go ahead and test it out and configure it basically, and then test it out in Mozilla Firefox. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right, so let me go ahead and launch Mozilla Firefox. On the right-hand side, on the top right corner, you see these three vertical lines. Click on that and then go to settings, which is the fourth last option. Click on that. And then on the left-hand side, you see the fourth option, which is privacy and security. Go ahead and click on that. All right, here you need to go ahead and add some exceptions right here in this section. This is the section, and this is the config where we want to go ahead and add the URL to allow access to our any isolated resource, right? Or any isolated website. So let me just go ahead and try to access Udemy right now. I should not be able to access because I've not added any exceptions there. I've not allowed the URL, right? We see the same problem here as well. I'm going to go ahead and close that. I'm going to go to manage exceptions, click on that and say RBI-umbrella.com and say allow. So the third option, this is the one, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And once I click on that, it adds HTTP and HTTPS for RBI-umbrella.com. Go ahead and click on Save Changes. Once you do that, open up a new tab again and try to browse to udemy.com again. And let's see if we're able to access udemy.com this time. You find that it looks like it's working because yes, it should be working in this case, and voila. If you check it out on the bottom right corner, it says it's isolated. So we're good with Mozilla as well. You just need to make sure that you add the exceptions right here. Right, that's pretty much it for Mozilla Firefox. That's how you do it. Now I'm going to go ahead and show it to you quickly for Microsoft Edge as well. Alrighty, ready. The final one. Let's get it done. Let's click on Microsoft Edge to launch it. On the top right corner, click on these three horizontal dots and go to Settings, which is the third last option. Once you click on it, on the left-hand side, go to Cookies and Site Permissions. As you can see right here, let me just highlight it for you. This option right here, right? Cookies and site permissions. Go ahead and click on it and then go to manage and delete cookies and site data. That's the very first option at the top, right? Once you click on it, you find these settings in there. Now, I want to go ahead and block third-party cookies. That's the first thing I want to do. So I'll go ahead and enable it. And also I'll make sure that I add rbi-umbrella.com in this section right here by clicking on this add button. All right. And there's another piece of configuration you might want to consider doing, which is clear browsing data on close and add an exception for rbi-umbrella.com there. So yeah, you can do that. And now, if I go ahead and enable block third-party cookies and then go ahead and try to access udemy.com, I should not be able to access udemy.com, right? So it should give me the same error. Okay, let's wait. I don't want to comment about the browser. Let's wait. Patience is the key. That's Microsoft Edge. Right. Um, let's wait. Um, let's wait a little more. Should be done in okay, yeah. Okay, it's done. It's again, it's not allowing us. That's fine. That's because we have blocked third-party cookies. Now, let me go ahead and click on that add button to allow the following sites to save cookies on this device. So I'm going to say star.rbi-umbrella.com and go ahead and say add. Once I go ahead and say add, all right, I can go ahead and try to access Udemy again, and let's see if we're able to do it now. Right, so once we're done with this, I'm going to show you one more configuration that you might be interested in. Perfect. Okay, so we're able to access udemy.com, and again, it's isolated. So we are good. Now let me go back to settings and the clear browsing data on close. You can go ahead and click on it if you want. You can go ahead and configure it. It's completely your choice. And the part of the configuration that I'm interested in is this one right here. Now let me just go ahead and enable it first. Once I enable it, it says don't clear cookies for the following sites won't be cleared when you close the browser. I can go ahead and say add and add rbi-umbrella.com right there. So something you might want to consider doing. umbrella.com. That's pretty much it. Go ahead and click on add, and you're done. That's pretty much it. Now you're able to access Udemy anyways, and you'll have this piece of configuration as well. Now, before you go, one of the extremely important points to consider would be subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Share, comment, like, and thank you so much. Have a great day. Put in the comments if you have any questions. Goodbye. Take care.